Listening to the 415ers here on the Odyssey Sports Podcast Network. Marc, Grandi, Evan Giddings with you. You can find Evan on social at eGiddings10, myself at Marc Grandi. That's Marc with a C, MarcGrandi. We appreciate all you tuning in here to the 415ers. Please give us a like, a listen, a subscription, a rate on Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcast. Very much appreciated. Evan, I want to go back to a note that we ended last episode on. Just off the cuff, I remember asking the question to you. We were talking about around the Christmas season, the holiday season, and how things work in NFL locker rooms. Generally, the quarterbacks gift their team, specifically their offensive linemen, something. And Cam Inman was on 95.7 The Game on Thursday, and he just came out of the Niners locker room. And he just brought up off the cuff without even anyone asking him that Trey Lance, who had been the team's starting quarterback for 5 quarters, Trey Lance gifted his entire team like Sonos speakers, like, those bars like that you place beneath the TV, that sort of thing. He gifted his entire team one of those each, and he gifted each of his offensive linemen custom suits. They were going to get fitted for it as Cam Inman was in the locker room. And then he said, well, that begs the question, what did Brock Purdy get the offensive lineman? He asked that to center Jake Brendel, and Jake Brendel responded simply, wins. So that answers the question for what does Brock Purdy, who's a 7th-round rookie quarterback who wasn't even expected to play any meaningful snaps this year and now is somehow leading a Super Bowl hopeful team into the postseason, his holiday gift to the offensive lineman isn't a watch, isn't anything like Trey Lance is getting him, isn't a custom suit, it's wins. That's what Brock Purdy is delivering on this Christmas.
Yes, well, we certainly hope so on Christmas Eve. That is what we hope Brock Purdy can deliver. As far as what Trey Lance can deliver, it does suck, but this is the one way that he can contribute, unfortunately, because of his injury. And one way he can also contribute is due to that $22 million signing bonus or the $34 million that he was guaranteed when he signed with the 49ers in 2021. Like, he has an obligation, as do all starting quarterbacks, to gift their linemen. This is something that we've seen across the league. I believe Zach Wilson, also in Trey Lance's draft class, gifted his offensive linemen some electric bikes or electric scooters. He's trying to essentially buy his loyalty.
I don't think it's working.
Which is not going so well. I do believe Trey Lance's, however, is because he legitimately likes his offensive linemen. His O-linemen legitimately like him. And it's a situation where, yes, Brock Purdy is making Mr. Irrelevant money. And Trey Lance, at the beginning of this year, we thought he was going to be Mr. Irrelevant, and he's making that kind of money. So I think it's an interesting note that Cam Inman brought up, out of the blue. But I think it does go to show that Trey Lance is still very much trying to be a part of this team in any way he can find possible.
Yeah, I think we joke a lot about the quarterback situation and Trey Lance and maybe like some of the awkwardness in that quarterback room just because of everything that's happened and how Trey Lance is obviously incredibly happy for the success of his team, but maybe looks at Brock Purdy a little awkwardly because just the way everything has happened this year. All that aside, and, again, those are, I think, mostly jokes and poking fun and having a good time, playful ribbing. But obviously, everything that Trey Lance has said, everything that he's done, everything that his teammates have said about him, everything that we've heard about him, he is just a fantastic guy. And, he could have come out and not been nearly as excited for Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. Not that he's really spoken publicly, but every time you see him on the sideline and you see him, dapping up Purdy and helping him and congratulating him. And I don't know. It's clear that Trey Lance is, I don't know. He has a good head on his shoulders. We already knew that, but he could have handled this whole season much differently than he has. He's done a great job, I think, continuing to support all of his teammates. And I know maybe that sounds easy, but in that situation, I don't think it really is. So I guess long story short, kudos to Trey Lance for how he's handled an incredibly frustrating season. We'll see what the future holds, but at least right now, Trey Lance has still been a big part of this team, and is a big reason why that the culture in that locker room is still so positive.
Yeah, and look, I think he learned a lot from a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who arguably has undergone a more tumultuous, recent past in San Francisco than Trey Lance. Like, he was literally told he didn't have a job here, then was willing to swallow the pill, came back to be the backup for Trey Lance, and of course, we know how that goes. But when you're sort of, I don't want to say professional athletes look at each other like role models, or the kind of mentor mentee situation, but I'm sure you certainly pick up on a guy and how they act and how they treat themselves and how they conduct themselves as professionals. And I don't know, you could say whatever you want about Jimmy Garoppolo's play on the field, but I don't know if there's a better professional when it comes to at least what we've seen in the last 2 years when it comes to dealing with the rigors of off-season football and losing your job and getting your job back. I have a question for you though, Mark. Who would be a bigger Oh, apologize. There's a dog in the back.
I was just gonna interrupt you and say I don't want to be a distraction, but I need to know if you're watching on YouTube, out of the frame now, but 10 or 15 seconds ago, you could see a pup on the back of a couch.
Yes.
What is the name of that pup, Evan?
That 2-year-old Springer
Oh,
Cocker Spaniel mix, his name is Tuna.
tuna. Oh, I
Yes.
love tuna. Hi,
Yeah,
tuna.
for anyone fans of the show The Office, he is named after Jim, the big tuna.
Legendary.
Uh
Awesome.
yeah, but no, I was gonna ask you though, Mark. Sorry. Um what do you think is a bigger? I know it came, the Christmas gift came a little bit early. Christian McCaffrey to me would be the hard number one Christmas gift that the 49ers have
Hmm.
gotten this season, although they did pay handsomely for it. Between Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, though, who do you think would be the bigger Christmas gift that the 49ers have received this season?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. Um, oh, I don't know how to answer that one. I think
It's tough.
because I think you also need to consider how desperate and what the other options would have been. Like when you're trying to decide value, like a player's value to a team,
Yeah.
what's the replacement option? So I think I feel bad saying this, but I think I have to go Brock Purdy because the other option is Josh Johnson. Not that Josh Johnson's terrible, but I mean, there's a reason why he was out of the league before this, and there's a reason why he hasn't ever been able to stick on a single team. Meanwhile, and we didn't know it at the time, but behind Jimmy Garoppolo when Trey Lance got injured was Brock Purdy. Maybe Brock Purdy sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo as the number two for almost a full season really, I don't know, pushed his growth forward. And maybe he wouldn't have been this good in week 2 or week 3 if he took over when Trey Lance went down. But considering what we know now about Brock Purdy and the fact that he was behind Jimmy Garoppolo when Trey Lance went down, I think the bigger Christmas gift for the 49ers, considering everything behind him, has got to be Brock Purdy.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I do think it's close just because, look, when Trey Lance went down, I think we all felt more comfort than when Jimmy Garoppolo went down and Brock Purdy had to come in.
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't know that you'd found such a well-rounded, easy plug and play, scheme fit quarterback in Brock Purdy. But I'll take it a step further. Like, it's not just a Christmas present in Brock Purdy. It's a Christmas miracle, Mark.
Oh,
Brock Purdy has been a Christmas miracle for the San Francisco 49ers because of all the things that we have discussed throughout this podcast, of being the last pick in the draft, being a rookie quarterback, being thrown into the fire, and responding with, I mean, just guts, like in every sense of the word. And Brock Purdy is the reason now why people believe that the 49ers can win the NFC, Jalen Hurts shoulder aside, even if he's healthy. Brock Purdy is the last piece of the puzzle right now for the 49ers. And to be on your third string guy, generally a team that is competing for a Super Bowl, might be able to find a way to get in the playoffs. But generally, when quarterbacks go down, seasons collapse. I mean, we saw it over and over again and have in the Kyle Shanahan era. And so for me to have a guy at the end of the season that can not only carry the torch to the postseason, but potentially uplift you in certain ways and help you get better offensively in certain areas than we saw with your previous quarterback and Jimmy Garoppolo, even more than your starting quarterback, Trey Lance. I can't say anything less than Brock Purdy has been a Christmas miracle for the 49ers this season.
I agree. Brock Purdy, Christmas miracle. We hope that it continues into the new year because they're going to need it when they get around the postseason. They're going to need their quarterback to continue being quality if they want a chance to go far.
Did you
in the
grab your
postseason.
number 13 jersey, Mark?
I have not yet.
You think
I've
he
heard
could even find one?
I was gonna say they're very, very difficult to find. One, because the team just had no inventory of it, until he started playing, and it's like the hottest jersey in the league right now, which is incredible and saying something. If you are unable to get a Brock Purdy jersey, I suggest maybe
Looking
heading
for
to
one right
95.
now.
Oh, you're looking up. I suggest if you're unable to find one, maybe instead head to 957thegame.shop.com. We've got a Brock Purdy relevant t-shirt. It's a pretty cool design with his number 13 embedded into the relevant word. Not Mr. Irrelevant, because he's now relevant. So I suggest heading to 957thegame.shop.com